have a great show lined up for you. I'm your host, Kim Jacobs, better known as the Balance Doctor. And all of our guests that come on, they're either people that have overcome some tremendous odds in their own lives as they balance this thing called life, or they're experts and they're here to share tips and strategies that will help you better balance and manage your life. Grab your virtual seats and let's get ready for some real, relevant, and relatable content on today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. How are you, Sharon?
I am doing fantastic. Good to be here, Kim. Really excited about meeting you and chatting today. So I'm really excited.
I'm equally excited, and I was so excited when I came backstage and saw you. You know, I normally give a lot of tips. Okay, change this, do that, and with lighting and different things. I'm like, girl, you ready? You are not playing. So you're ready for the show. Thank you for being here today.
You're quite welcome.
Where are you visiting in from?
I actually am in Georgia, about a couple of hours outside of Atlanta, in a place called Columbus, Georgia. That's where I live now, and just been here enjoying the warm, humid weather that we've got here. But that's why
humid is the key.
Just a little bit humidity.
You know what, Sharon? I really don't like to stereotype people or anything, but this is a good stereotype, I believe. For whatever the reason, people that I meet and encounter from the Georgia area is something, you know how people say there's just something about you? I don't know what it is. Maybe you can shed light on what's going on over there in Georgia. What makes y'all so different and vibrant?
I tell you, I think it's the Southern hospitality. In my travels with my business, I have an opportunity to go up north, and there's a different demeanor there, just a little bit different. If you come to the South, normally it's very friendly. Everybody knows everyone. Even if you're in the grocery store, a stranger will talk to you. So I think that's maybe what you have experienced with the people from this area.
Well, awesome. And I think that must be what it is too, because I don't feel like I've ever met a stranger when someone says that they're from Georgia, and very polished and professional. The majority of people, and it doesn't even matter what the nationality is. If they say that, I'm like, you from Georgia. Right? And so when I know I'm from Newport News, Virginia originally.
Okay.
But I have lived in Charlotte for over 20 years at this point. So I feel like I also am part of Charlotteans at this point. Very hospitable, loving, kind people. But for the most part, everybody gets along well. People are speaking in the mall. Hey, how you doing? Well, I don't go to the mall that often, but at restaurants and out just walking. You could be walking around the track and everybody's like, how you doing? And joining in on conversations, you know?
Yes.
So
we do get a lot of that. So it's just friendly.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, everybody that's tuning in today, we're going to be talking about how to embrace abundant mindset. The spirit of abundance is so important, and being able to know what that looks like, and if we're really over in the scarcity mindset, or are we really living in abundance just in our own minds? And so Sharon Baker is going to be talking to us about that today. As the founder of Embracing Abundance Life Coaching, Sharon, I said Sharon Brown. I have a friend named Sharon Brown, but Sharon Baker has become a beacon of compassionate leadership, effecting transformative change across a career spanning for over 25 years. She stands out as a certified business professional, life coach, engaging speaker, and the author of 2 best-selling books. Now, her professional odyssey took root in the corporate sector, and so we'll be talking more too about that corporate arena, and distinguishing herself in roles centered in servant leadership, because even in corporate America, servant leadership, training, and people development, as well as employee engagement. I'm not going to read all of her bio because I really want you all to get to know her as a person. But one of the things, Sharon, that you say is that you are a masterful storyteller, right?
Yes.
So as a masterful storyteller, can you take us back a little bit on your journey and your backstory and tell us, even before you came into corporate America, who you were back in the day and what
Mm.
brought you to wanting to be in corporate
Well, my corporate training environment came years ago when I was fortunate enough to go into a company that was really customer service based, but also employee based. Um, and so I was able to work there for several years and then transition to my own business, taking some of that with me. But before that, I was really very active in the arts. I always was very participating in different plays. And when even in my church relationship, I would craft those things to kind of help, as well as doing a lot of teaching. I've always done teaching, vacation Bible school, Sunday school. Those are some of the things I enjoyed even as a child and transitioning up to. So I was in the creative space before I took that opportunity to go into the corporate world, where I was able to stay for many years. And just because of the great company I worked for, I was able to still use that creativity within my leadership. I was very much involved in employee development. And so that's where I learned to become a servant leader as well, because we really promoted that and allowed you to actually do that. So then I made the transition to an entrepreneur where I could take all of that wonderful experience that I was able to muster up and celebrate going into business for myself. So wonderful, wonderful opportunities I've had that have kind of cultivated the mindset thing that we'll talk about in a minute, but also how I got to that corporate space that kind of
America?
helped me with everything else.
Well, and interesting that you say you took your experience from the corporate world and infused that into your business, because I know I was in corporate America for over 10 years. And
Mm.
at first, I was out in pharmaceutical sales and doing the detailed pieces and the polished professional things. And believe it or not, it really helped me as I transitioned into motivational speaking, into talk show world. All of those things that I learned were not for naught, you know?
Exactly.
So I wonder, what pieces of your corporate experience did you infuse into your business?
Oh, it was so many things, because when you are in leadership and you are able to run a team, we had the concept of running our team like it was our own business, even though we were part of this great picture. And so that was about making sure that goals were met, that customers were taken care of, that you took care of your people. So when you make that transition to working for yourself, taking those skills about making sure you're customer focused, making sure that you know how to budget and stay within budget. Those were some of the other things that we had to do. And then being a leader, every entrepreneur is going to be a leader at some point, because they're leading their own business. So all of those different components I was able to take and use in that transition. And just like and I love the phrase that you use, they were not for naught. Sometimes we don't know what we're learning, how we're going to use it next, but it always just comes into this wonderful plan that God has for us. We just use it without even knowing it. A lot of times when you're learning things, you don't even realize a lot of things you know, because you take them for granted until you realize that people don't know the things you know. They haven't been exposed to the things you've exposed to. And that's what I learned and was very helpful in that transition to the entrepreneurial space. Was I know this stuff, but a lot of people don't know it. So I can share this with them. And so that was a eye-opening opportunity for me as well.
That's really good. And you're right. When it comes to people, we automatically know what we know, but
Mhm.
we don't, other people may not know those things. So then we're sitting here holding on to the knowledge that we've been blessed with. And
Yes.
other people are like, what does it take for her to get to that level? What does it
Mm.
take for her to soar from an outside perspective? Because again, we're only inside the frame, as Les Brown says. And so we can only see ourselves from within the frame. But other people are wanting to glean and lean in and learn from the information that you are exuding through your pores. But sometimes we're like, oh, nobody needs to know that. Nobody, oh, that's just basic.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
it's really not. It's not basic. All that you just said, budgeting, being an ownership of a leadership and owning and managing a team
Mhm,
is stuff that people don't know how to do that always.
mhm,
So
mhm,
it takes people like you to come onto a platform like the Kim Jacobs Show and
mhm.
help bring balance to the world by teaching us this, you know?
Yes, yes. You
Right.
definitely have to be able to recognize, and that's one of the things I share with people when I work with them. You've already got these wonderful goods, the things that you take for granted. Let's take what you already know and use it to serve, because when I work with folks, it's not just about a business, it's your serve statement, it's your serve mantra. We've got to give something back to the folks that have allowed us to get to the level that we're in. So if you think of it as a service, this is what I'm giving to people, and then I help them peel back what that actually is. I was going like, something great. Well, no, that's not. Yes, it is a big deal, because, like you said, everybody doesn't know that. So that is one of the things that has been very, very wonderful for me, just to see people evolve and just realize the substance of what they already have within inside them,
Yeah.
that they can
You
just.
you think too, from going from scarcity, or is it scarcity or scarcity? Because like back, I grew up in the project. So is it bologna or bologna? Which one is it? Filet or fillet? Tell me.
Well, it's been worded a couple different ways, but I normally say scarcity. But
Scarcity. Okay, that's what we're gonna
yes.
say today for the sake of our conversation. My friend Sean, she'll be like, Kim, oh, it is not what you're not supposed to say. Mogul is a mogul. I was like, you know what? Once you learn it wrong, you kind of learn. It's hard to correct.
Hey,
But
it's whatever it
scarcity,
is.
right? Point is, going from broke mindedness to
Mm,
being an abundant minded
mm,
mindset is what we're talking about.
mhm.
And so you recommend too that people will to go from scarcity to abundance in their personal and professional lives, right?
Yeah, yes, yes. It is very, very necessary to bring it in both spaces, because if you don't, then you will not really level up. What you do in the personal realms will affect the business and vice versa. And so you have to step up that way. One of the things when I came up with the concept of, and I named the company Embracing Abundance, and it's actually based off John 10:10, what the Lord says about us. And what I went to him in prayer and I said, God, I know what I'm supposed to do, but what do you want me to share with these people you call me to serve? He says, you have to remind them of who they are. They've forgotten. They are forgotten that they can have the world, they can live in abundance, they can live, their mindset is not there. So that's where the mindset concept came into to play, about being abundantly minded and looking at things from a different perspective. But yes, they have to be in both areas. And so when people come in, that's why I teach them. I was like, first we have to uncover those limiting beliefs, and then we have to tackle them one by one. The other thing about adopting an abundant mindset and leaving scarcity, I call it escaping from scarcity, is to remember some of the things that are most important to you, but also remember that because we have a mindset dynamic to it, that we have to uncover those things one by one, and that it's a journey. It's a journey. You don't get to that part overnight, just like you
Mhm.
didn't arrive there overnight. So
That's right.
so we take one concept at a time, and then what people notice is, as they take the mindset challenge, they see themselves going away from that one. And then, so once they uncover one of those limiting beliefs and they overcome that, then they see what can happen, and then it's easier to take them to that next limiting belief, and the next one, and the next one, and then before you know it, you're thinking a different way.
That's good. And I pulled the scripture up here while you were saying that. And it's John 10:10, the King James Version says, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they may have life and that they might have it more abundant.
Yes, that is correct. You have to. I God has paid the price for us to have all these things, and we are sitting on our gifts because we don't think we can do them. And so that mind shifting is very important. And like you mentioned, in both areas. So we take that. And one of the things we start, it's just with basic stuff, gratitude. Gratitude is the thing that we begin with, because when you realize what you already have, then you start to see that you're already in an abundant state. We all have things that we take for granted. We were just talking about our gifts, the things that we take for granted. But sit down and do an assessment, and you're going like, wow, I am pretty okay. And even though I may not be this person, I am offering more than what I thought I could offer. I've got some things I can do. And then that's where the process actually starts. So we start with having people practice gratitude first. It puts them in a different mind space. And then you start with other areas of your life. Then, what am I grateful for in my business? What am I grateful for in my life, in my home? The things that, I just don't even think about that much. But when I start to think about them, I'm going like, I really have some good things going on. So that starts the process.
And even when we're talking from a gratitude perspective, if we focus on those things, many times people say, what you focus on grows. And so the more you focus on, I'm grateful that God has blessed me with this. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve God's people, whatever it is that you are grateful for. Actually, in the studio audience, type some things that you're grateful for, and we'll pop them up on the screen. We'd love to hear, what are you grateful for? I know I'm grateful for the fact that I'm a mother of 5 children. Whenever I literally was told right after my honeymoon that I would not. Hey, Dr. Tina J. Ramsey, how are you? Glad to have you in the studio audience today. And Dr. Tina J. Ramsey is actually the founder of CTR Media Network, and we stream the Kim Jacobs Show in 100 countries under her program. And 350 million households. So thank you so much for being here today. And you get to meet another professional soul here, Sharon Baker. And hopefully she'll be taking my training course, so that hopefully she'll be able to be coming over to CTR Media Network. You know how we do some partnership here. We'll talk about that after the show. Okay.
Okay.
You definitely are show ready. Let me tell you that. So what I was saying is that I'm grateful because I have 5 children, and I was told that I wouldn't be able to even have children. So when I talk about being a mother, for me, I'm talking from a spirit of gratitude, not as a boastful thing, but as oh my goodness, you really made this happen for me, God. And we only can tell our own stories. We can't tell anybody else's story. We can tell our story. And I am grateful that 5 children were able to come out of my body when it was told, not prophesied, but the doctor that was practicing his craft told me that I could not have children.
Wow. And see, I'm glad you made that wonderful distinction there, Kim, when you said, it's not about bragging. It's just about being grateful and kind of sharing that, because what happens is when we share the things that we're grateful for, it gives other people hope as well. The possibility that, I could have what you have, or I could experience something very similar, is always the one thing that we don't bank on when we're sharing stuff, how people can just be inspired by us because of that journey. I'm inspired, just from you sharing that. And I knew about it before the show because I watched several of your episodes. And so, but I remember you sharing that previously, and that's just one of the grateful things of God. So, but it puts you in a different mind space when you practice gratitude, was my whole point of sharing that. And it starts to infuse that mindset shift that, things are not as bad as I think. We all have challenges every day, most of the time. But how are you going to show up? Are you going to say the glass is half empty, or is it half full? Are you going to cry over spilled milk, or are you just going to get a paper towel and wipe it up and just say, listen, I'm just glad I have a paper towel instead of
towel, right? and that kind of, believe it or not, Sharon, that speaks to contentment, because we have to be content in where we are at that moment, but also striving to be all that God created us to be. So it's kind of like, I don't know, is it economy? It's a weighing of the balances, because it's like you can't sit still and do nothing, but you also need to be grateful for where God has brought you from to where you are today, you know?
Exactly.
So I love your language. I could talk all day about this with you.
And so I mean, there's several different ways for it, but gratitude is the first thing we start with. The next thing is about self-love, because that's one of the things that God kind of put inside, is that we are living in a society where we are told so many different things about ourselves, and so we want to be like everybody else, but He's given us this uniqueness. And so once we start practicing gratitude, then we're able to kind of see our it kind of paves the way for self-love, is what I mean.
Good.
So what you're seeing, you say, okay, I'm grateful. Man, then I learn all these things about myself. So then the self-love comes in. Now, self-love not in the way of pride or arrogance, but
Right.
just to say, listen, I'm thankful for how you made me. It took me years to get there. I'm going to just tell you, because I was always comparing myself to other people. And that's what we do. And what we have to realize, and that means acceptance for all of ourselves, not just the good things, because we all have those challenges, and you have to look at those as opportunities to what I always say, opportunities to have sandpaper introduced into our lives, because the sandpaper is the thing that takes those edges and kind of makes them smooth. But you want to be accepting of those things. A lot of people deny they ever do anything wrong, and you never can go to the next level. You need to accept what you can do, what you can't do, and just be transparent. So
Yeah.
that's the other step to doing that. And so that's how we do that. And then the last thing that I want to just put in that 3-point thing is to serve. The serving part is how we actually get that return. And so we don't all the time get it back like we think. So it's not all the time in a monetary. A lot of people, that when they talk about abundance, they talk about money. And of course, we live in a money system, and it's very necessary. I'm not saying that's not the case. But when I talk more about abundance, I'm talking about all the other things. And then the money is something that is a byproduct, but you got to have these other things first. You got to have those other things. So your true abundance doesn't just come in with that making of that money. It comes in with doing these other things. And serving is the best way to do that. Serving, we have to practice gratitude, self-love, and serving. And that's where our abundance will start to grow. It will become a part, our mindset. We will look at the whole world differently when we realize that we should be grateful, love ourselves, and love others. And that's basically what the serving is doing. That I am here not just for myself. I'm not here just to cultivate this business. How many people can I bring along with me? How many people can I share? And how many people just can I love on during the course of that way? And so those are the 3 most important concepts. There's several different ones, but those are the things I put into practice. And when people work with me, those are the things I cultivate inside of them, because it's so much more when you put those things into place.
Yes, I love, and I agree with every single thing that Sharon has already shared. Being able to make sure that we have the opportunity to begin with gratitude is what she's already shared. Also, having that self love. If you can't love yourself, you can't love anybody else properly. It's just not going to happen. So you have to have self love and also love for other people. And then the challenges that we have, if we serve others, guess what? We're able to help get rid of some of those challenges, because we're not focusing on ourselves only. We're focusing on meeting the needs of other people, other individuals. So these are some profound things that have already been shared today here on the Kim Jacobs Show. And I encourage you to be able to take notes and even go back later and pull out a journal and capture everything that Sharon is sharing here today. And the reason I keep saying it was Sharon Brown is because one of our Freestyle Friday experts, her name is Sharon Brown. And I'm like, every time I say Sharon, I automatically say Brown. I'm like, oh, no, this is Sharon Baker. We got Sharon Baker on today. So these are some great tips. But Sharon, you also say waste nothing. Talk to us from that perspective. You don't want anybody to waste anything.
Yes. This is a concept, believe it or not, that I learned years ago. And I tell the story about my grandmother, my Southern grandmother, who was named Betty May. And we would go to her house oftentimes, and she would create and prepare these wonderful dishes. And I would just love going to her house. I could smell the food before we got in there. But she would always tell us, do not waste this food. And so when I was a child, my concept was she was just talking about make sure you clear your plate and you leave nothing on the plate. But waste nothing is about the experiences in our lives, what I call the buffet of life, the things that we have happen to us that are not so good sometimes. Don't waste those experiences. We have an opportunity to take from those bad experiences and turn them into something good. And so that's where the waste nothing concept came from. It came from, listen, we want to oftentimes forget those things that have been very detrimental to us. And so what I kind of allude to that in a couple of different stories, but as a child, I suffered from ADD and dyslexia. Now, back in the day, we didn't have those fancy names. Right. It was just like you had some challenges reading, and we're going to put you in a setting that will help you with that. But that's where I was able to go back to that waste nothing concept. So I was very, very, very intimidated about reading in front of the class because I had an issue. But one day in a regular class, it was a science class. I never will forget this. I was 9 years old in 5th grade. I will never forget this forever. And we had a science vocabulary test that we were challenged with. And there was a word on there that was this long. It was called photosynthesis. I will never forget that word. I was overwhelmed. I was like, I will never be able to spell this word. I got you. I said, I will never be able to spell this word. And so what I did at that particular time, I adopted because this is what people don't realize. When you have dyslexia, you don't do very well with phonics. It doesn't correlate for you. Right. And so I had to come up with a different way to break this word down. So I broke it down based on not the sound of the word, but what other words I could see within those words. Mm-hmm. So photo was a word. SIN was a word. Sin, THE was a word. SIS was sis. And so that's when I determined a strategy for me reading, for me not being able to identify other words within the words. And so that's why I go back to the waste nothing. I could have looked at that concept as, listen, I don't know this word. I'm not a very good reader. I don't do phonics well. Find another way. That's what I want people to understand. If it doesn't work this way, find it that way. Everybody's way won't be the same. But if you do not look at the opportunity, you will waste it. So waste nothing means waste nothing. Every opportunity, use it to propel you to your next. And it's just like the meal that my grandmother said, don't waste that food. Is what she would say.
I love your grandma. Let's see. Mother Betty May said, don't waste that food, Sharon. And she meant what she was saying, but it also translated to this life lesson that you don't waste anything in life. And with that, when you were talking just now, Sharon, it made me think of the fact that I am so determined to not leave any stone unturned when it comes to what God has purposed for me to do. And sometimes us, meaning Sharon and Kim and other people like us, it may look like we're doing the most, right? We're doing too much. So, okay, you're doing the most. Right? But really, it's God, in my opinion, encouraging me to not even do some things that's necessarily beneficial for me only, but things that I think will be a blessing to somebody else's life.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Do you have that happen?
Yes, for sure. And that's where the serve part that needs to be, I'm glad that you said that because we want that to be part of our mentality, that we're always thinking of outside of what's for us, because we all really need to leave a legacy of some type of legacy. And what do you want that legacy to be? It was just of somebody who was just all about themselves, or were you able to extend? That's where our gifts get an opportunity to grow. Those gifts, when they are shared, that's how they're cultivated. And so if you don't give yourself an opportunity to share them, then how can they come back to you like 100-fold or 1,000-fold or 2,000-fold? They won't. The cultivation goes with sharing that and thinking about others. So you want to share that.
Yeah. Yes. And you know what? I spoke at a church yesterday, no, 2 days ago. I spoke at a church, and one of the things I was talking about is leaving a legacy. And the legacy, according to the Word of God, is important to know that a good man, and I'm believing a good woman, leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And so,
Mhm.
to me, it doesn't mean that that's only financial wealth. I do believe we should leave financially,
Mhm.
letting our children be financially set up and their children's
Yeah.
children. But I also believe that we should be determining who's going to be our successor, who we're going to pass the baton to, who we're going to make sure that when we pass away, everything just passed away with us. That is the
Right.
devil's a liar, in my opinion.
Exactly.
I'm pretty
Exactly.
sure the devil's a liar. That cannot be the case. We have to leave a legacy and know that we did allow our dash to make that difference, because people talk about the birth date and the death date and that dash that separates the two. What are we doing to make sure that that is something that we're remembered for? That's what we're going. That's our life, the dash.
Exactly. The dash. I'm glad you said that. And because you oftentimes hear that, but the significance of that, we're just learning. And it's something that you kind of learn the older that you get. I don't have the same mindset I had when I was 20. I just
No.
don't. And so, but as you live, you go ahead and do that. And so a lot of people use the term bucket list. I don't use that term, but I know
What
what
is
they
it?
mean.
What term?
The term, instead of bucket list,
Oh,
I use, my term is as I live list instead of a bucket list, but it's the same concept of things you want to do as you live. So that's the other mindset thing that I've got going on instead of using that term. But I think it's very important that we kind of just go back and reflect on that. It is so good to give. And it is just one of the things, and I keep saying it because it's something I enjoy doing outside of my business. I'm very active in my community about giving back. You just have to. So outside of that, one of the organizations I'm involved with is Make a Wish, which I love, in Make a Wish, Georgia. So I get to be almost like a fairy godmother. I get to share these wishes with these children that are suffering from life-threatening illnesses, not all the time terminal, but life-threatening illnesses, and give them some joy back in their lives. So that's just one of the things. So you have to kind of determine what that is for you specifically, but there's always an opportunity to give back to and serve folks, and think about um, leaving people with hope, because people need so much hope now. They
people
really
do.
do,
Yes.
in all aspects.
And when you say make a wish, I would like to tell you, and I'm definitely going to make sure I don't even cry about this typically,
Okay.
but people don't understand the severity and the importance and the significance of Make a Wish
Mm,
Foundation, and the fact that if a person is even qualifying for that, that means that they have a life-threatening disease.
mhm.
That is, this organization, volunteers like Sharon Baker, that are determined to say, hey, we're going to grant one dream come true wish for this person. And I'll tell you that, because I don't talk about this too often, but sometimes, this young man, my
Mhm.
23-year-old son, had his make a wish come true. And his wish was to be able to go to the National College Football playoffs. And he went to Alabama, and Clemson played. And that
Wow.
was his wish. And it was just it was like a fairy tale experience, the way they had it all set up. And this young man also had his wish come true, which is my son, my 18-year-old son, Jeremiah. And his wish was to meet, what was it, Robert F. Smith, the
Okay.
billionaire, African American billionaire. So we were
Okay.
able to spend time in New York with him. And he went to board meetings and Carnegie Hall, you name it. And this young lady, who is my daughter,
Mm,
also had her wish come true, her make
mm.
a wish. And
Okay.
she got to swim with the otters and run wild with the kangaroos and you name it, with going to
Wow.
California and being in the open habitat with all of these different animals. But I say that to say I have 5 children,
Mm,
and 3 of my children were
mm.
recipients of Make a Wish. And I wanted you to know that, because this is what you're volunteering for, is for children. And you didn't even know this. I didn't know you were going to say that.
Oh, wow.
I
This
had no
is so
idea you were going to talk about Make a Wish.
Oh my goodness. Listen, I thank you so much for sharing it because I love to see those things come to fruition for the folks that those kids. It is just so wonderful. It is something that I really, really treasure. And I thank you so much for sharing that and the experience that they had. That's the types of things that we want to hear. We want to hear that it was a great time for them. That's awesome. That is awesome. So I got a little extra that I wasn't planning on either.
Well,
Um,
I got a lot of extra so far from what you've already shared. And in the studio audience, I saw a comment that came in, and I'd love for you to be able to address this. Someone said, and Mackenzie, you might be able to help me find the comment. Oh, Cynthia said, she said, we find it hard to be transparent. We have that what happens in the house stays in the house mentality. What's your theory about that when it comes to scarcity versus abundance?
yes, I think you still use a little bit of discretion about what those things are, but I don't think we when it comes to things that we haven't been successful at, those are the types of things we try to hide. Those can be opportunities to help others. How do we get over a particular type of thing? And without maybe sometimes sharing everything, but maybe I had a rough time too. I see you going through a rough time. I had a rough time and I won't tell you everything about it, but this is how I got through. So that is the way you still can give that feedback. And what it does, it frees you and then it changes your mindset about your experience, that it was just not for naught. It was just not something that you experienced and will never get over. You've had an opportunity to listen, enlighten someone else, and give yourself a little bit of therapy in the process because you were able to share it. So that's the best way I can answer that. I'm sorry if that's not.
Oh, no, that's a perfect answer. You are
So
an expert.
we're
Yeah,
just trying
that's
to.
good because you're saying don't necessarily share every nuance or every detail, but
Mhm.
just being mindful, but
Mm.
still being open enough to get it some type of resolution so that you're not just
It-
stuck being bottled up on
it-
the inside is what I took away from what you said.
exactly. Because that part about being too, sometimes it is too transparent, or you're not ready to share that much then. But there are opportunities where you can share a little bit, just enough to, help someone else, and that's where you get your goal back, or you get your gifting back, is what I call it. It's called return gifting, and that's a little term I made up. But anyway,
I
but
love
that's
your terms. As I live list, let's put that up as I live list instead of the bucket list. So as I'm
yeah,
living, I'm going to do these things and check them off, but not calling it a bucket list. So
yes.
that's termed by Sharon Baker. Okay. So if y'all ever use that, make sure you quote the right source. So I'm going to take a commercial break in a second, and then we're going to come back and talk about on the closing in some of your upcoming projects and initiatives and things. But I wanted to just understand: do you think that everyone can have an abundance mindset, or do you think it's only certain select few that this applies to?
Well, this is the thing. It's like with anything else. You have to make that decision. And once you make the decision, it can be yours. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to have the days where you're just going to be there all the time. But you have to make that decision. And so that's the only difference. That's the difference between a person that is able to achieve it and experience it. They have made their mind up. This is what they want. They don't want to live any other way, and they have decided to commit to that. And whoever does that, they will be successful. It is just, it's not any question about it.
Yes. And I believe wholeheartedly that God does not have respect of person. So
Mm.
what he can do for one, he can definitely do for you. And
Yes,
so if you're looking at someone and something, you don't have to be jealous or envious because at the end of the day, that's what he has for them. But what
exactly,
does he have planned and in store for my life? And
exactly,
that's all we want. We want what his will is for us. And
exactly.
so I encourage you to just really deep dive and seek what it is that God has planned for you, and let him use you. Let him use you, girl. Let him use you like he's using Sharon Brown. Sharon Baker. I said Sharon Brown.
It's
Sharon
okay.
on Freestyle Friday, y'all. So when you see Sharon Brown on Freestyle Friday, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But that means, you know what this means to me? Because I don't believe anything happens by happenstance. Sharon Baker, that means that you need to be a Freestyle Friday expert too on the Kim
Oh,
Jacobs.
okay. I'll
And
take it, Lord.
you can be our abundance expert. What that means is on some Fridays, you'll come on and share like 5 to 7 minutes worth of tips. And then we'll
Okay.
talk about things that the community wants to talk about, whether it's some trending topics or different things. But we always have our experts come on. And so Sharon, her ears got to be, people say ears itching, because we're talking about her a lot. But Sharon Baker will become one of our Freestyle Friday experts. So all right, everybody, listen. We're talking today with Sharon. I'm just going to say Sharon. We're talking with Sharon Baker today, and she is talking about embracing abundance. And we're also wanting you to stay connected with Sharon Baker by going to embracingabundancelifecoaching.com. Embracingabundancelifecoaching.com. I have podcast listeners too that aren't seeing the broadcast, but they're hearing it on iHeartRadio and Spotify and all of that. So anyway, on Instagram, stay connected with her at Embracing Abundance LLC. We're going to take a commercial break, and then I'm telling you, stay seated, because we have so many projects and things that you're going to be able to participate in that Sharon Baker is offering. We'll be right back right after this commercial break. Sharon. Okay, y'all, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Kim Jacobs, the Managing Director of the Charlotte, North Carolina chapter of eWomen Network. I am so excited that you stopped to watch this video. I've got good news for you. You've just discovered an international network of women entrepreneurs who are committed to helping you achieve, succeed, and prosper. We're on a mission here to help 1 million women entrepreneurs each achieve $1 million in annual revenue. Here at eWomen Network, we have a complete success system that supports you every step of the way in building and growing your business. You being here right now is no accident. We're supposed to know about you. We want to meet you to find out how we can help you, as well as learn about what you have to offer. With over 500,000 women connected through 118 chapters across the United States, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom, you are never alone. If this is resonating with you, please go to ewomennetwork.com/Charlotte. Notice too my contact information. I invite you to reach out to me and to check out our upcoming in-person and online events. I'm really looking forward to introducing you to our special community.
Yay.
So eWomen Network is a professional business women organization. It's nationwide, over 500,000 members, and I'm appointed here in the Charlotte area as the managing director. So if you visit ewomennetwork.com/Charlotte, you'll see all of the events that's coming up. We'd love for you to visit with us at the Charlotte Museum of History, is where we have our actual events. And if you're not in the Charlotte or surrounding areas, if you're in one of the 100 countries or different places here, then know that you can also join eWomen Network and put me, Kim Jacobs, as your sponsor, and I'll connect you to the appropriate source. All right. So Sharon, I don't know if you're part of eWomen Network. One day we'll talk about that too. It's a great organization. So Sharon, okay. You've talked a lot. For those of you that are just tuning in, we're talking with Sharon Baker, and we're talking about embracing abundance. Getting out of that scarcity, I call it scarcity, but scarcity is the right word. Scarcity mindset. And you've shared some significant nuggets with us already. I just want to recap just for a second for those that are just tuning in. If you could recap some of these points right quick.
Okay. The first thing that we talked about was gratitude. Gratitude just kind of positions you for what you already have. And that kind of initiates that intentionality when it comes to the mindset part. And then the next thing that we want to talk about is self-love. Because once you are grateful, you can start to see yourself. And that means self-love means accepting the good things about yourself and the not so good things, the things that are challenging. Both, all of it is what makes you you. Then the third thing is serve. We want to make sure that we are serving our communities as much as possible. And the other thing that we were talking about were the challenges that, and I was just looking to make sure that she was talking about that I was at the same position that she was in when she was bringing those up. But those challenges are the things that help us help others. So the challenges, so we've got the serving part, but the challenges that we learned about when we embrace ourselves are the very things that we use to help serve others, as well as making ourselves better, because that's what it does when we embrace those things.
Excellent. Okay, so now I know that you are a busy woman. You wear a lot of different hats.
Hi, I'm Kim Jacobs, the managing director of the Charlotte North.
As you're balancing this thing called life, there are a lot of different hats that you personally wear. And I want to pull up some of the images of some things that you're an author, for example. Let's talk about your 2 books, if possible.
Okay. Well, this one that we have on the screen is my upcoming book. It is right now in pre-sales right now. And it's actually one of the 3 anthology projects that I've been a part of. But this one I love, and I love all of them, because you get an opportunity when you do an anthology to work with other authors to support someone else's vision, which goes back to serving others, and to kind of position yourself for additional growth. I love learning things from other people, but this one is going to be coming out within the next couple of weeks. It's being printed. The ink is drying on it as we speak. But and here I talk about how, earlier I mentioned to you, Kim, that I had a drama background, which I love plays and movies and all of those things. So this particular chapter is kind of catered toward that experience. And I talk about the entrepreneur journey as though you are writing your own movie or you're attending your own play, that you are the director of your story, you're director of your business. And so that's what this talks about. It gives people some nuggets about how they can take their own strengths to make the business of their dreams. We want to make sure that we magnify the things that we're good at. There's nothing wrong with learning things from other people along the way, but you want to start with those things that you already possess and just learn to activate them. And that's what that chapter is about. And
I'm so excited about that. And one of our other Freestyle Friday experts would love that chapter, because she's a playwright. And and with you being the person that loves drama and theater, I want to definitely make sure you and Vicki L. Evans get connected.
Okay.
She does plays that are at the Blumenthal, and she's one of our Freestyle Friday experts. A woman of many hats is what we call her. But this is a great read here, the Hidden Figures Collective. And this is extraordinary women impacting organizations and companies and communities beyond the spotlight. So I think you want to definitely get a copy of that. You can go to hiddenfigurescollective.com to get your copy and pre-ordering it. hiddenfigurescollective.com. All right. So let's go to your next project.
Yeah, now this was actually very near to my heart too, and I love all of them, but this was the very first one I was able to do, and it was a devotional. Did it with the first book that you showed. I did it with a couple of authors, but this one I did with actually 23 authors, and we did a devotional. And what this one was about was actually about how that we need to return back to God, give Him more of our time. We become so busy until we can't hear Him anymore. And so that chapter was about coming back to Him, listening to what He wants us to do, how we can work out our purpose with Him, and how we can serve with Him. And that's what that chapter is about. It's got return to me.
Return to me. I'm serious. If y'all can see, I have chills when you said return to me. If we let the focus be Jesus and focus be on God, return back to Him. My goodness. That right there. I know you preach that, Sharon. You're in your corporate mode, but I know you preaching that.
Yeah. I have to share the Lord whenever I can. I'm telling you, this is a very big part of my life. As a matter of fact, I use that in my business. that when we go into prayer, when we go into strategy with my clients, it is the both of us when I'm doing one-on-one, and then it's the Holy Spirit. And so we can come up with some really dynamic things when we allow ourselves to be led, because we have to remember our purpose is not our own, even though we're responsible. So the purpose always is going to be tied back to something else, and we cannot get clear direction if we don't solicit the help from the Holy Spirit. We
That's
just
right.
won't. We
I
can't
agree
get
with
it.
you. So y'all, we could be in church right now. I know y'all, if you got your Bible, you could turn to some of the scriptures that we've already talked about. And I don't believe that the Holy Spirit only operates when we're in our church service. The Holy
Exactly.
Spirit is leading and guiding me in the way of all truth at all times, no matter what environment I'm in. And now, obviously, we're in different settings. When you are in business, you be in business mode. When you're in church, you be in your church and business mode, and because you're still being a representation of Christ as an ambassador. But at all times, no matter what hat I'm wearing or role I'm playing, because we're talking about balance here on this show. When
Mm.
whatever aspect of life that I'm balancing my life in, I'm always representing Christ. Period. Period. It's not like, if anybody in pharmaceutical sales would tell you that Kim was the same way as you see me if I'm in the church service. It didn't matter because I wasn't disrespectful to anybody else's beliefs or anything, but equally I also share my own beliefs, because we can talk about any football team, basketball team, whatever we like and believe pertaining to a show, a movie, a American Idol, different things. We can talk about our personal beliefs regarding our Savior and what I'm hanging my soul on as well.
Mhm.
Okay, I diluted. Let me digress. So let me go, Sharon. Tell us about this. Real women, real
Oh,
problems, real success. Go.
oh yes, this is a great book that I was able to. Like I said, I love collaborations. I just love gleaning from other people and learning from them. But with this particular, my chapter in this book was actually about the word that changed everything. Remember the story I shared with you about photosynthesis? It
Mhm.
talks about how I became to take that word and make it a concept of something positive. That's where the waste nothing story was told. But it talked about how I use that particular strategy to elevate me and take me to the next level, even at 9 years old. And that we want to make sure that we look for opportunities to create strategies that may not be there. We
That's
have to find
good.
out what's good for us.
I just tagged Dr. Karen Hills Pruden, who's pictured there. If you could see down in the corner, she has a hat on. She's the visionary behind this particular anthology, Real Women, Real Problems, Real Successes. And you heard Sharon say that photosynthesis, which is a word that changed everything and catapulted her into part of what she's here talking about today. A word that was trying to stump her up when she was dealing with dyslexia now has been the almost like the foundation for some of her success.
Yes.
I'm really proud of you. I'm really,
Thank
really
you.
proud of you, Sharon. All right,
Thank you.
tell us about this picture.
Well,
This is
and yeah, and this right here was just, I got an opportunity because I wasn't sure on the other cover. We had an opportunity to show the other authors, but this was the Hidden Figures Collective, and these are the other beautiful women that I was able to collaborate with on that, and they have their own stories as well. Mine was, of course, about the play technique, but they've got some really beautiful stories in there. And Yolanda Davis, who was the visionary on this. So I've had an opportunity to just work with some wonderful women that were visionaries for the projects. So those are the three items that I have out there as far as my writing, my authorship. Very, very proud of those efforts and just the people I was able to work with.
well, I would think that you would be proud based on the women that I see and the people that, and this one is like, yeah, all of these women. That expands your opportunity to be able to salt the earth, in my opinion, when you're working collaboratively versus on an island by yourself. So I'm really proud of all of these initiatives. And how can people get a copy of each of these books?
Okay. You can get them a couple ways. They're out there on Amazon, but what probably would be the best way to get to them probably quickly is you can go to my website is one place. The other thing that we can also do, because I have some copies direct for you as well. So you can go to Amazon. That's okay. That's fine. The only thing about Amazon, they will be up under the actual authors' names.
Okay.
So that are the visionary authors' names. But if you go to any of these other areas, you can say, listen, I want to get one of those books that you talked about, and we'll make sure we get them into the mail to you promptly.
That's good. So they go, let me just make sure I interject for a minute. I'm going to tell you where to go personally. Okay. Because if you want an autographed copy from this person that's the guest today on the Kim Jacobs Show, because she's modest and I understand you want to and support everyone. And so let me just take it over from here and say, get a copy at embracingabundancelifecoaching.com. You're going to get an autographed copy from Sharon Baker if you do that. Okay. So she has copies of her own books that she's either been in writing with as a collaborative author and written different chapters, but each author has copies of their own books. And so she has these copies and would love to autograph it. See, I'm your agent now, Sharon. You're like, huh? Was I saying? I'm saying that for you. Go to embracingabundancelifecoaching.com. And if you want to follow her, DM her on Embracing Abundance LLC. You'll also be able to get a copy there. But even outside of the books, if you are interested in getting her coaching services, which you can tell that if you have a one-on-one with Sharon Baker, your life is never going to be the same, right? I thank you. I believe you already said yes and amen. Sharon Baker, you, and the Holy Spirit, the three of you all are going to be in collaboration as you go from scarcity to abundance thinking. Can't get better than that. All right, you can pay me later, Sharon. Go ahead. Just
The other thing, I wonder if you have any questions. I'm going to give you my email address, and they're so lengthy. I'm sorry. It's success at embracing abundance.
Embracing abundance.
Yes.
Oh, you saying like success AT or at sign?
The at sign.
Okay, at embracing. Okay.
abundancelifecoaching.com.
abundancelifecoaching.com. So you all can email her and schedule a one-on-one. You can email her at success@embracingabundancelifecoaching.com. Say it again. You say it.
success@embracingabundancelifecoaching.com. That's the schedule, the one-on-one, but also if you want to get the books, I can also receive it from that as well.
Okay. So even if you don't know which site to go to and you say, I really want to get her to sign a copy of the book, just go ahead and email her there. I'm going to put it in the comments section for you all as well. Any of you all that had takeaways or things that you want as just a quick comment to share with, oh, hey, okay, sisters selling real estate, Des and Love. Y'all, if y'all have not followed the Sisters Selling Real Estate, y'all missing something special too. Make sure you follow them. Kim, you look great. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm ready to turn. Oh, speaking of which, everybody, I don't want to get way sidetracked without telling y'all that my birthday is May 31st. So if you watch this as a replay and it's not May, you can still just bless me in the future anyway. 31st, I'm turning 54 and I am grateful.
That is awesome.
I'm so excited. So happy birthday to me coming up May 31st. Any closing comments, thoughts, things that you didn't get to share that you really wanted to make sure you made a point of here, Sharon, while you're here?
I just want to encourage everyone that it's never too late to go for your dreams, expand your dreams. You were talking about you're blessed to be, in your 50s. And a lot of things, when I decided to make my transition, I was in my 50s as well. So don't think it's ever too late to do the things you want to do in life or to find your purpose. And that once you start to change your thinking, what you'll see is that your whole world will open up. The same situation will look different to you. just because the way that you've chosen to perceive it. And so when you make that adjustment, that's when you'll really embrace the abundance that God meant for us to have. He wants us to have life and have it more abundantly. But first, we got to look for it, expect it, and then receive it.
Expect it. Look for it, expect it, then you can receive it. Somebody make sure you make note of that. Look for it, expect it, then you can receive it. And receiving some things, when you're talking about that, before we would close out, I want to make sure you know that she is the recipient of Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award for the exact thing that she's talking to us about, serving others. She received the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. How did you feel receiving that recognition for your volunteer service?
Oh my goodness, that was phenomenal. Because when you're volunteering, you're not thinking about that. You're not thinking about, and this is from years of doing. I mentioned one thing that I've been doing, which is with the Make-A-Wish, but there are just so many different organizations, the environment, nonprofits. I just can go on and on because that's just where my heart is. But it was just very settling to me that I would be recognized, and I was able to that really made me very, very happy just to know that I was actually acknowledged for something I love doing anyway. So that was great.
So beautiful. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
In that high honor that you received. And she's also been featured on CEO Weekly, the Wall Street Times, and Celebrity News. So what she's talking about from both a personal and a professional development perspective of being a servant leader, she's walked this walk. Sharon Baker has walked this walk, not just talking it and teaching it to you, but she's a walking, living example of God's word and from a business perspective colliding. So congratulations on your many endeavors.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right. So I also heard one funny, not funny, but just something that you have as a fun fact. Tell everybody what that is about your tricked out RV stuff.
Oh, yes. Yes. So that's my one thing that I have on my as I live list. And I want a tricked out RV, and we'll put my entire family in there so we can go cross country. And when I say tricked out, I mean everything, the bells and whistles. It is just like so smooth to people just get happy just watching us drive by in it. So that's one of the things I want to do with my family. And because we've got some beautiful places here in our country that we live in. There's nothing wrong with going to overseas travel. I want to do some of that too. But I would just like to see our great country in a tricked out RV. That's what I want.
She's gonna have the most blinged out. People are gonna be like, "Oh, who got your RV?" Take a picture in front of you. When you see a nice car, you be like, you start taking those pictures. They're gonna be taking pictures in front of your RV because it's gonna be so out ready to go, right?
Oh my goodness, yes. But I wanted to have everything: bells and whistles, poshness, all of that.
Well, you're a poshness woman over there, so I'm sure it'll match what you already exude, pouring out of your pores. Arnetta Caldwell is on too. Glad to have you, Arnetta. And Arnetta is our Reinvent Yourself expert here on the Kim J.
Awesome.
So we have quite a few great experts, and I think that, like I said, Sharon Baker will be hopefully joining that team. Listen, everyone, I hope that you've enjoyed today's episode. It has been nothing short of amazing. The tips that have been shared. You did mention family, Sharon. So I don't want to close out without you giving you a chance to say you're balancing your family, you're balancing ministry, you're balancing corporate training, and all of the different hats. What do you want to say as a tip, or say something about your own family as well?
Okay. Well, just that I have a wonderful family. I have a husband. We've all been married. Next month will be 30 years we would have been married. I am
you and your husband. Y'all got to follow her on social media to see her and her husband.
And the other thing is I have 5 children. I have 7 grandchildren. So there'll be a lot of people in that RV. You probably have to take a couple of RVs when we do our trip. But they are just a bit of inspiration to me. I love being a grandmother, even though they don't call me. I don't allow them to call me the word grandmother. I'm Yaya. That is the name that I've adopted to to say the word grandma, but it's really wonderful to be able to have those things and balance them. When I was younger, it was a lot more difficult, of course, when your kids are growing up and they're little, and you look
Right.
around one day and they're grown. But I was able to balance those things going to and fro. As I reflect back, I would have been a lot. I would have done some things differently. I would have used the Lord in a lot more things. I can do that now, but I would have asked him everything. I mean, just everything, everything from what I need to buy when I go in the grocery store. I mean, just everything. I would acknowledge him in that. That is the only difference that I would probably do now that I wouldn't have done later. But in balancing that, making sure that we're keeping the Lord in all aspects of our lives is the other part I just want to lean in on. The things that we think we even have down packed, just make sure we run it by him.
Run everything by him, y'all. And if
Yeah,
we do that, we can't go wrong. And I'm a big
exactly.
believer. I don't care. Every single day, I can have all the plans I want, which I do plan. I
Mhm.
100% plan because I think people should plan. But my plans change all the time. They just can change in a moment's notice. I went to celebrate my grandfather's birthday, 88th birthday, and we were fully celebrating. And my mom was with me and everything. But at the end of the day, he ended up falling. And
Mhm.
all of the plans changed, where
Mhm.
my mom had to end up staying back with him, and just different things had to be adjusted to make sure that things happened properly for the situation. So we can plan, but when things happen that are out of our control, you have to make some significant adjustments. So be mindful of that. I was trying to see here on your Facebook page if you had a picture over here of your family. I see a bunch of books and stuff.
Mhm. They're probably down a little bit lower because I changed them, the concept of them a little bit.
Okay, do you put stuff in albums?
Yeah, there should
Oh,
there
you
should be some album things in there, but
Okay. Anyway, y'all have to follow her on social media for her family photos there because I see a bunch of beautiful photos. I can't find one quick enough. Okay, but I can tell you this before we close out. I found one that I think would be something that I still would like to share. And we're getting ready to close out, but I just wanted to pop this up. I'm a sleuth over here, right? Social media, I'll find you. But look at what I did find.
oh, you did found, yeah, that was my mom's thing, because we just had Mom's Day, and so I normally put that up on Mom's Day. My mom is wonderful, and so she lives here within the city. She's still very independent,
Oh, she
very
is
independent.
beautiful. And when
Yes,
you're
yes,
caring for your aging parent, I mean, look how you cherish each other, and you can see the gratitude in your face. How happy you are that mom is still right there by your side. Isn't that a
yes.
beautiful thing?
Yeah, mom is it. She is the foundation for a lot of what we're able to do. Because when we were growing up, she did everything, and we were like, so that's why me and my sisters, and I have sisters. I have no brothers. That we are just very, very driven, very focused, and it came from mom because we saw her doing that. She was always working, and she was always just setting this wonderful example, giving us a good foundation for our belief systems and all those things like that. And so those were great. It's great.
Good. Okay, well, I think we've crammed in as much as we could in this short period of time. Y'all will get to see some more of Sharon Baker because she'll be one of our Freestyle Friday experts. So we'll be popping her family pictures up and tips and strategies for us to go beyond where we currently are in our thinking to even higher. So thank you so much for being an outstanding guest today here on the show. And
Thank
if
you
you
so much for having me.
Thank you. And stay connected again, embracingabundancelifecoaching.com, embracingabundancelifecoaching.com. And please consider partnering with the Kim Jacobs Show. This is the only way we can bring programming like this to you all in your homes every day, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you continue to just pour into the broadcast at Cash App Kim Jacobs Inc., paypal.me/Kim Jacobs Inc., or even on Venmo at the Kim Jacobs Show. We greatly appreciate it. All right, that's today's episode. And I think I've acknowledged as many people as I could. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful picture of your mom, Arnetta said. Thank you all in the studio audience. We love you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great one, everybody. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to you bringing your friends and family to join you in the virtual studio audience Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time.